I don't know that anybody knows for sure the origin, either locationally or time frame of when these techniques were developed, but it was likely a good long time ago, probably in the hundreds, if not thousands of years, just because there's so many ways that the indigenous people have plumbed all the possibilities in the environment, whether it's plants, animals, trees, and so on, that provide sustenance and objects for them to work with. So that undoubtedly happened many, many, many generations ago. And consequently, traditional forms developed like they do in so many things, whether you're talking about wood carving or canoe making or whatever. At one time, these must have been really common household objects. I mean, every family, every house group had dozens of them probably, because they were used all the time, and some were more highly decorated for ceremonial use, of the larger ladles and things like that made out of the bigger sheep horns. But even down to the little one-piece horns made out of a single mountain goat, spoons made out of a single mountain goat horn. Those were even treasured objects, I'm sure, just because of the significance of the goats themselves, the difficulty was required to hunt them and successfully bring them back, the way the hide and the wool was used for weaving and the horns for making these elegant and very serviceable spoons. When Europeans come around, the Russians first and then others, in this area at least, when they start importing, metal spoons, silver spoons, other kinds of things, other ways of eating, other ways of relating and all that. And of course that can have its influence on even traditional things. So it take probably a long time, and certainly at first it was more of just a strict trading relationship, and it was probably a long time before they became more comfortable with one another. And so by the late 19th century, when there began to be what you'd today call tourism, but people traveling in the area, steamships and whatnot, bringing people to Alaska to experience the country and the people, then a lot of things began to be made for sale, and that had its influence on the traditional forms and whatnot as well. But then there seems to have come a point, and we were discussing this with Jeff Scafflestead and Gordon Greenwald today, and Jeff pointed out that there have been times, decades ago, some sort of disease infected the population of goats, and a lot of them died off. And he said that has been documented to happen here and there in different goat populations, which is, I guess, a natural occurrence. But if it happened to coincide with some of these other social and cultural changes, then that generation that had been the spoon makers, the ladle makers, suddenly they're deprived of the material, then it would have a big impact on their production. And then when they passed on, if there wasn't somebody right there to take that up, as there always had been previously, and people's interests and people's pursuits and people's focus was much more diluted into this other world of possibilities, then there came a period where nobody was making them. And all the old ones were slowly sold off to visitors and so on and whatnot. And now they're scattered in museums and collections really literally throughout the world. The opportunity we had to go and look at historical examples, we can see ones that were really successful at obtaining a beautiful shape altogether, others less so, but we see the whole run, and so we can see where they've had to cut down, where they've thinned it out, where they've left it thick, and all that sort of stuff that helps us to end up with an acceptable finished product. Looking back here, when there's so many things that are being revitalized and reestablished, and things that have always been maintained as well, that help keep these cultures strong and vibrant. Now there's a lot of interest in bringing that skill back. And so I can't claim to be an expert in this field, but I've done enough of it to know where some of the pitfalls are and what direction we need to work in, so I can help to guide people in their own experimentations, because that's what a lot of it is.